The points of inspiration for me are the kinships that I have in my life. It extends to my friends, my friend lovers, my lovers, my comrades, people that I have shared intimate exchanges with. And I call each of this work a pulse of a love letter because they're inspired by things that people have exchanged and shared with me. And I think for me, these are things that I want to remember. These are affirmations, things that people have spoken about, said out loud, or shared through protests, or just one-on-one conversations, or just a passing remark. And what I want these love letters, these drawn love letters to look like, I want them to look like fleeting memories. I want them to give a sense of lightness or warmth. When I think about these words, the image that comes to mind are foggy sort of sensations. And so each of this work has sort of like layered depth, but also a sense of translucency in its powdery state. Yeah, so with my sculptures, I wanted them to be present in this show. Ultimately, I have a drawing practice, but making the sculptures to me is an extension of the drawing practice itself. And what I really love about having the sculptures here is that they are present as embodied scores. Someone actually mentioned that my sculptures look like scribbles coming into real life. I think there's something quite beautiful about that because once you come into the space, the viewer feels confronted by the way they navigate in the space itself. The way that I place the sculptures, they're carefully placed around the space, and they are able to sort of propose a subconscious way of moving closer to the works itself. And to me, I use these sculptures as a way to encourage the viewer to come closer to the drawings and to interact with the drawings intimately. I hope that they would think about the kinships in their lives. I think for me, my starting point for these love letters are the kinships in my life. The exploration of survival, thinking about the conditions of the world, and thinking about how we can get through this through love, with love, and how we can sustain through the different violences that are happening in the world. And I feel that if we veer away or move away from hyper-focusing and giving ourselves to the difficult states, if we center the loving sort of embodied feeling of safety or the nuances of kinship, maybe it's so much more easier to get by. It's interesting to have such works presented at this art fair because it's quite intimate, it's really quiet, and art fairs are full of works that are really loud and big. And I think there's a lot of power in quiet resistance. That is a really important question. To show at Liste at this time for the queer trans community, I think, representation is important, but what's more important is listening loudly. I think to open your ears to what is actually happening to the communities that you may not necessarily be a part of. But I think empathy is a practice, it's actionable. And I think through my works, what I'm hoping is that is something that people are willing to extend beyond their immediate communities or environments. I'd say that as a trans artist myself, working through the non-representational form has been both good and bad because it's not directly representational of my transness. But that's what I hope people are able to do. Trans people are not just, subjects to be fetishized. We're also people with feelings. We're individuals with so much depth and exchange. And each of this work explores that. I think trans people are love letters. Each of us are love letters in itself. There's so much that we've gone through. And collectively, I think this show shows that.